everybody. Happy Easter weekend. Uh, this is the half hour of horror. It's probably going to go a little long, as it usually does. I'm here. I'm Aaron McLean, here with my co host, as usual, Chase. What's happening, man?
How are you doing, Aaron? I'm doing good. Happy Easter weekend. And for the wrestling fans who
Oh,
are audiences, happy WrestleMania weekend. Happy
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania weekend.
I forgot. That's awesome. Yeah, this is fun. It's Zombie Jesus weekend, as my family likes to call it. He is risen. So we are talking about some religious horror, just to be a little sacrilegious for the fun of it. Everybody, what's up? Hey, everybody's already jumping off
Yeah.
into the in the comments. Happy to see everybody. So I want to tell a quick little story that this week I've been busting my ass on a TV show, and this week was really slow, and I didn't have to go in on Thursday or Friday. Very exciting. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna play a video game. And what had just come out for PlayStation was the new Indiana Jones game, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And I love me some Indiana Jones, classic action movies. You know, Harrison Ford's awesome. And I'm playing it, and early on in the game, we got a wild cameo. It was Tony Todd himself. Like Tony Todd, like his face, his voice, the actor is in the video game as a giant. I kid you not. He's like 7.5 feet tall. And I don't know what happens. I haven't gotten that far, but Indiana Jones, in the middle of the night, somebody breaks into the college and steals a cat mummy, and it is Tony Todd. And I looked it up, and this was his last project to date. Of obviously with Final Destination coming out later in the year, there will be
Which
more.
was like the last thing he ever filmed.
Yeah, but this was voice acting that he did up until like a month before he passed. So it's like, so yeah, this is a very interesting project. I cannot wait to see where it goes. Love me some Tony Todd, and the game is cool because he steals a cat mummy, and what he leaves behind is a sigil from the Vatican. So Indiana Jones goes to Italy, and he's in the Vatican City during the reign of Mussolini. So there's more fascists to fuck up, you know, like we know Indy likes to do, punch some Nazis. So I'm beating up fascists left and right, looking for Tony Todd. So pretty exciting.
That's awesome. You know, you and me were talking in the waiting room before we went on air. Like you had mentioned, like he has this real neat, like very distinct voice that like, you know, no one else has. And it just makes it great for voice roles like, you know, video games or cartoons. Like if you look at Tony Todd's filmography, because most people know him like Candyman, Final Destination, The Crow. He's had, especially in voice acting, a very accomplished role. Like he's done like all the like DC animated films.
Yeah.
He like was Venom and all. He like Venom in a majority of like the Marvel video games.
Great. Yeah.
He voiced the Fallen and Transformers 2. Like that.
Just so
awesome.
random. What a great guy. What a great career. He will be missed. It's like he's one of those guys, anytime you pop up, you're like, whoa, Tony Todd, freaking sweet. Always excited to see him on screen, even now after his passing. We still get some good outings for him, and I'm just excited to see him in a video game as himself, in a cool role, because the game is so much like a Indiana Jones movie. And I was just excited that we were in the Vatican because it tied into what we were talking about today with religious horror. Let's kick it off. I want to talk about one of my favorite films. This is a movie that I like. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about Exorcist. Obviously, we're going to talk about stacks on stacks on stacks. My guy. And this is a movie called The Devils. This is 1971, a Ken Russell film. Vanessa Redgrave, a very sweaty Oliver Reed. This is one of my favorite movies, and I hadn't seen it until maybe 2 years ago, and this movie is phenomenal. It is batshit insanity based on a true story, The Devils of Verdun. So here's what goes down. Father Urbain Grandier, he's in this town, and he is kind of standing up for the people of this town against the crazy king. And he he's protecting them from taxes, protecting them from the army, standing up against the king, who at this time, Louis the 14th is very corrupt and living in opulence in France. The problem that Father Urbain has is he's sleeping around with a bunch of married women, and that causes some issues with the other rich people in the town. And one of these nuns, played by Vanessa Redgraves, who lives in a cloister, so they don't even leave their convent. Through a window, she falls in love with him, but she sees him cavorting around with a married woman, and she gets so jealous that she starts to make up this story that he visits her at night. And the other nuns in the convent get all horned up from this story, and they start saying like, oh, the devil came for us, and he has his face. He is commanding, like possessing us with his hotness. And these witch hunters show up, and they start torturing all these nuns, and they're like, you got to give us a name. And they're like, oh, Father Urbain, it's this guy. So then they torture him, and it's a crazy witch hunt movie. The sets are insane, like massive. You're like, this is a tiny movie. These nuns accuse this guy. There's some torture, but it's like massive sets, hundreds of extras, just a scope and scale that we don't deserve for a movie this wild. There's hallucinatory Jesus sequences where Oliver Reed is crucified and Vanessa Redgrave like brings him down off the cross and licks his wounds. It is madness. Highly recommend.
This I have not seen this one. But it is neat, like, because a lot of these religious horror movies and a lot of them that we're going to talk about, like, have to deal with kind of the Catholic Church. I didn't grow up Catholic, but you did. Okay. But it's just kind of neat, like, where you hear all these stories about all this corruption in the Catholic Church. And a lot of it is brought in these kind of religious horror films.
Big time. Well, and to be fair, religion is a good community for some, for a lot of people. But you ask people in the 12th through the 11th century up until the late 18th century, the Catholic Church ruled with an iron fist. I mean, Spanish Inquisition was one of the most horrific times in human history. Just like, hey, I don't like that guy over there. I think he's a witch. And they're like, cool, we're going to torture him to death. Like, it was such a gnarly time, and the power and the money. And you literally have something that just was like, we need to control all these filthy peasants, and we have to figure out a way to do it. And we're going to use the church as a way to funnel money away from the kings. Right. So that they aren't all powerful. And it was just this power struggle between the church and the kings. And it's a crazy time period if you take it out of the religious context and just look at it in a political context. But like, a lot of horrible things were done in the name of religion, the Crusades. Right. I mean, just crazy. This is a fantastic film, though. Hey, Izzy, thanks for tuning in for a quick
thanks
second.
for coming in. Yeah. Happy you're able to join us.
Yeah, Shadow of God. So yeah, check out The Devils. This is a just bananas film that is hallucinatory in every right, and you guys are going to dig it. I know it. But that's one that if we're going to talk religious horror, that's where I had to start, and I'm so excited about it. So, what do you have, Chase? Throw one on the list.
Let me look through my list, or my stack. Yeah, what I'm going to talk about. I had it in mind when we did our vampire horror. My dumbass forgot to do it. I want to talk about Jacob's Wife, starring Barbara Crampton.
What? Barbara Crampton? I love me some Barbara Crampton. This is a newer one, huh?
Yeah, this came out, I think, 2021. So it's, Barbara Crampton, Larry Faston, I think that's his name. I've seen him in other horror films, but so this one is a vampire. And you know what? Here's the thing. Whenever I was doing my research, when we selected religious horror for today's topic, there's going to be a lot of stuff that kind of interconnects, like different kind of genres. Like the religious horror, there's like a lot of, like, for this is the example, it's vampires. Like, there's like a lot of paranormal, exorcism horror, cult horror, folk horror. But yeah, this one is a vampire religious horror. It is about a small town preacher's wife who gets bit by a vampire. She starts becoming a vampire, and her husband finds out. Now he's kind of conflicted whether he helps his wife, because with vampires don't feed, they, start to rot and become crazy. Whether he helps his wife kind of commit these murders and so his wife can eat, or does he let her die or turn her in? And it's just like one of those things, he's using his faith, kind of like, what do I do? I'm kind of conflicted here.
Man, this sounds great. I'm reading that's pretty gory. Good
Yes,
vampire
very gory.
effects. I'm gonna have to check this out. Throwing it on the watch list. 2021.
Yeah, it's a Shudder original. So
Oh.
this one is really good. So yeah, this one, because again, this actually is one I kind of was interested in, because I grew up Baptist. So, where you get a lot of these religious themed horror movies, or horror movies that have religion in it, that are usually mostly Catholic, that have to deal with kind of like the Catholic rituals and stuff like that. So this was neat to kind of see like small town, like hometown church, kind of like Baptist church, and seeing a Baptist preacher kind of like conflicting, like, and like, my faith is against this, but do I kill people in order to save my wife so she can remain strong, or do I turn her in or try to kill her?
That's exciting. Love me some Barbara Crampton, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Seeing her in things like Chopping Mall and Reanimator, just fantastic stuff. I'll have to give this one a watch. Since we're talking about small town, one that I want to throw up, which is pretty interesting, by Kevin Smith, 2011's Red State.
Yeah, that's actually on my list too. I unfortunately don't own it on DVD, but here, just pretend I'm holding a Red State Blu-ray. But
yeah,
no.
So I got to see this with Kevin Smith. I went to his road show and he presents it, and him and Jason Mewes were there just randomly in LA, and we got to see it. And then afterwards there's a Q&A, and somebody asked a question that if you had listened to any Kevin Smith podcast, you would have heard the answer to multiple times, any of his DVDs, any of his live talks. They just wanted to hear him tell them the story. And he talked for an hour, and then he was like, well, got to wrap up. And I just was like, no, I have a question. And he was like, oh, hey, that guy in the back has a question. And I was like, you don't normally make super violent films. Like you had a little bit in Dogma, but you don't work with guns a lot. You don't do shootouts a lot. Tell us about that. He's like, oh, that's a great question. And he was kind of realized that he had just wasted the whole time when there were other questions in the room. And he answered the question and talked about, using a stunt choreographer and how they did some of the shootouts in this. But crazy movie, the very, very much in that Baptist thing. You've seen this one?
Yeah. So, again, like you said, Kevin Smith has very little horror in his filmography. It's mostly kind of comedies.
Yeah.
Kind of like his brand kind of style of kind of dialogue driven comedy.
Even Tusk, which is horror, is kind of funny.
Yeah. So yeah, this one, of course, is about two young men or I think it's two or three young men, who are a group of teens who find a woman online that they are going to have sex with, and one of them played by horror icon, horror royalty himself, Kyle Gallner.
Yeah.
So and it turns out she's a part of this kind of religious Christian extremist cult, kind of in the same vein of Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah.
Very controversial. So yeah, then they basically but they're murdering people who they feel are kind of sinners.
Yeah.
And they feel like they're doing a service to their religion. It has a great cast. You got Michael Parks, who kind of plays like the leader of the church. Melissa Leo, who plays his daughter, who's kind of like next in line kind of when it comes to power. You got John Goodman, you got Kyle Gallner. But yeah, this one is really good, especially, Aaron, I know you live in the South too, where Westboro Baptist, we've all heard of the Westboro Baptist Church, where they're going to military funerals and protesting and other kinds of events and just
preaching
protest.
that God hates, which sucks. And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they show up at Comic-Cons a lot. This is my interaction with them at Comic-Cons being like devil stuff, and you're like, all right, you know.
There was it wasn't them, but there was a group like it when I saw Rihanna back in 2016 in concert.
Rihanna?
Yeah.
Protesting Rihanna. So
Yeah.
when oh my God. So when Dogma came out, the Westboro Baptist Church protested Kevin Smith's movie, which prompted him to be like, I want to look into this. He went out and protested with them, holding a sign that said Dogma is dog shit. And would like do all these interviews from inside the cage, being like, maybe they should just go see the movie. Then they can have an opinion, but like just before you've even seen it, you're protesting it. That's ridiculous. I love that Kevin Smith would do that. Just like went down and infiltrated them with his own side. It's like, that's funny. But that made him want to make this movie. And it's funny because he said to get the money for this movie, he couldn't. He was having trouble finding funding, which is true right now. It's so hard to find money to make a movie. Nobody's greenlighting anything. Nobody's funding anything. It's really a frustrating time.
Unless it's like a $250 million CGI fest. But
yeah, exactly. Like Disney needs some tax write-offs, baby. So he said that the person who funded Red State was like, you made that movie with Bruce Willis. And he's like, yeah, that was my worst movie I ever made. He's like, doesn't matter. You worked with Bruce Willis. I know you know how to handle a movie set. I'm going to give you the money to make Red State. And I was like, what? What? That's crazy. But Kevin Smith has the best stories. That's why he does what he does.
Are you talking about Cop Out with Bruce Willis?
Cop Out. Yeah, he did Cop Out.
Yeah, which I think everyone said they like were just miserable working on.
Yeah. Kevin Smith hated the movie, hated working with Bruce Willis. Considers it his worst film, and he's so like bummed about it. But he's like, because I did that piece of shit, somebody was like, you can have the money to make your next movie, which is That's like
awesome.
Did you not hear me say I hated it?
Yeah, you worked with Bruce Willis in this box office bomb, poorly received cop comedy. Here, make your religious horror movie.
It's a pretty solid movie, though. It really does show
really
the horror of fanaticism, and
yeah.
You know, this would have been a good one to put in the cult. I think somebody in the comments brought it up, but
I think it's
a good
touched on it briefly in the cult episode, like very briefly.
Yeah. What's another good one you got? Pulling up that stack.
One I watched last night, and you and me were just briefly talking about it before the show.
Yeah.
Oz Perkins. Yes, the Oz Perkins who made Long Legs and The Monkey. His very first film, Black Coat's Daughter.
Yeah, solid.
Really good film. So this one stars Emma Roberts, Kiernan Shipka. It follows through kind of the POV of 3 different women. So this one, 2 of the POVs are kind of intertwining stories just told through this different set of eyes. And it's set in a very strict Catholic boarding school during break. I think my ear things went out because I cannot.
You can't hear anything? All right.
Oh, wait. Okay, now I can. Okay.
You're back.
I'm back. Okay. So it's set during kind of a week-long break during a school break in the middle of a winter snowstorm. One girl cancels on her family picking her up because she's saying she's sick, but in reality she thinks she might be pregnant, which we all know in the Catholic Church
you're gonna have a devil's baby. Sorry.
Yeah, getting pregnant out of wedlock's a big no.
Yeah.
And then the other set of eyes is played by Kiernan Shipka, where she's acting weird. I don't know. This movie's it's a very slow burn in a lot of the stuff.
It's a huge slow burn, but the characters are really good. And
should we do a spoiler?
I'll throw it up. Yeah, but we're going to talk about it anyway.
While we talk about it. So yeah, if you don't want to, if you're interested in watching this, but hey, keep us on. Just mute us till that spoiler thing goes down. But the other girl played by Kiernan Shipka is starting to act weird. Like she's usually a very quiet, timid girl, but she's being very mean to the two nuns that are staying behind with her, being like very weird. The other girl who thinks she's pregnant keeps going down, finding her in the cellar, kind of kneeled down, kind of like in a worshiping crouch position by this fire furnace.
Yeah.
She starts acting weird, but it turns out, and then also at the beginning of the movie, she gets a premonition phone call saying your parents are going to die trying to pick you up. And that's when kind of the demon comes and possesses her. And then also in the meantime, it goes to another POV shot, like in the several years in the future, where this escaped mental patient female is getting picked up by this older couple who were on their way to visit their daughter's gravesite.
Mm-hmm.
And it played by Emma Roberts. Should we? Yeah, we have the spoiler thing. Let's talk about it. So it turns out, Kiernan Shipka's character murders the pregnant girl, or turns out she's not pregnant, but then murders the two nuns, cuts off their heads, takes their heads down to the cellar as like a sacrificial sacrifice to Satan.
Yeah.
And it turns out the girl that's in the future, that's with the two parents, where the parents, turns out Emma Roberts is also the older version of Kiernan Shipka's character. And the parents were the girl who thought she was pregnant's parents. It's a little confusing. It's wild. It's wild. It's confusing to talk about, but it's one of those, if you watch it, you'll understand.
I love the structure of this film. Sometimes I don't know if I buy that they're the same character, but at the end of the day, I like how it all comes around. I like the twists in it. I love the creepy location for it. The boarding school is really creepy. I just watched Diabolique last night, which is a French film that takes place in a boarding school. Really fun. Really solid stuff. This was such a strong outing, and it really put Osgood Perkins on the map. I didn't remember that this was him until you brought it up today. Obviously, he's having a great moment with his with Long Legs and the monkey, but this is a great place to start. It's full of atmosphere, really cool atmosphere, really creepy. I mean, beheadings. Come on, I love it.
Yeah. Got demon possession, beheadings, drama. You got Kiernan Shipka and Emma Roberts giving.
I like both of those actresses.
Great performances.
Kiernan Shipka, I've liked since Sabrina. I mean, Sabrina's kind of a cutesy, fun version of it, but like, what a fun show! Like, I don't know. I really like the first season.
I wouldn't say it was cutesy fun during the first season. It was kind of dark during the first season, but it's just
she had such a bubbly personality. All which I like. I was like,
but it got like the later seasons got very Riverdale-ish, where it was just bubblegum pop. But
but
unfortunately,
with a demon witch twist. Come on,
bubblegum demon pops.
Yeah, right. Let's see what's next. Let's see here. I want to pick a good one. We talked about in the cult one. I mean, this is a quick mention, but the sacrament fits into all of this really well. The sacrament's very much like a religious. They're taking the Jonestown massacre and kind of putting into this like religious cult twist. Really good. Why not? Let's get gnarly. 2008 French film. Since I mentioned another French film, this is the one that I watched this week to refresh my memory. Martyrs. Yep. 2008. Get gnarly with it. Yeah,
no.
That's how I was like. Let's get into the religious. Let's get into the feeling of Easter. With Martyrs.
No.
I know.
The movie that I've only seen once.
It's all you need.
Now never watch again.
Now I've seen it twice. I never did watch the remake, but I know we do have a lot of sick puppy gorehounds that listen to the show, and this is a staple of extreme French cinema. French extreme obviously comes out in the early aughts, and you get things like Frontiers, Inside, Martyrs, etc. High tension. Yes.
A display of and thing is, we're used to as horror fans, a lot of us are used to gore, but this is like a display of extreme brutality. It's very mean-spirited, hard to watch,
very hard to watch.
It honestly, it's for those people that go, oh, gore and horror movies don't bother me. And it's like, that's what you'll steer those kind of people towards, are these French extreme movies, because it's not just gore just to be gory. It's like they get you to know these characters, they get you to build a bond with these characters, and then you have to, it's honestly like, you know, having to build a relationship and a bond with someone. Then you're forced to sit down tied to a chair and you're forced to watch the most depraved things happen to them, and that's
really
French
gnarly
extremism.
torture. Yeah, really hard torture, and sadistic, because it's not just sadistic to the characters, it's to the audience. It's sadistically dragging through you and being like, how's your movie? I'm gonna put nails in somebody's eyes. This movie's insane, but the religious factor, to tie it into what we're talking about, these two girls show up at this house and massacre everybody inside. And one of the girls is like, this is where I was kidnapped and tortured. And her friend, who she's brought along, who didn't expect things to go so sideways, was like beginning to think, oh no, maybe my friend's just crazy. Maybe this didn't happen. This seemed like a very normal family. And just when they're about to leave, she finds a trap door. When they go down inside the trap door, they find a woman down there who's been tortured to a horrible state. And you find out that it's a cult that is believing in martyrs. They kind of are fascinated and obsessed with martyrs, and the idea that martyrs are, you know, people like saints like Joan of Arc, who at the moment of their death, they see God, and they want that moment. This cult wants to torture people till they can see the moment in this person's face when they see God.
They want to torture them to the point where they're near death,
they're
almost
so that they
at
can
that
see
point.
God. Yeah,
and then they can tell them what happened.
It's
so they can confirm it. Yeah,
but it does such a good job of drawing you into it. Torture and horrible things aside, it is a fascinatingly well done film to that extent, and the acting's incredible, but it's just hard. It's just very, very brutal and hard to sit through, and not for everybody. But I think it's fascinating because there's a movie that might be a better recommendation. It's not a horror movie, called The Passion of Joan of Arc. It's a movie from like when did that movie come out? Like the 20s. Maybe even earlier. The Passion of Joan of Arc is a 4:3 black and white movie that is shot this tight the whole time, and the look on her face, the actress as she's like being burnt alive, that is the inspiration for this film. Literally, I kid you not, that movie, and it shows so much of what you can do in a tight frame with nothing, just actors on their face. But the movie Martyrs took that to the nth degree and said, yeah, let's explore that even more.
The flaying scene is legitimately
terrible.
One of the most gruesome things I've ever seen on film. Like,
it's so gnarly. So here it is, 1928. Passion of Joan of Arc, French film, but the actress Maria Falconetti, incredible. It's you know, like I said, everything's just super tight and very close on the face, and she just destroys this role. But it leads us to years later, coming into Martyrs, which is just gnarly. Yeah, not for everybody, but there again, the extremism of religion. Everything that happened in the movie, the Catholic Church did to somebody for real at some point in the name of religion, which is a gnarly thing to remember, that like it's not just a movie. That actually happened during the Spanish Inquisition. That has actually happened all throughout history, because the church was like, we got to make them confess that they're a witch. For whatever reason that it is.
Power.
Gnarly. All right, what's next, man? What do you got?
Well, also a gory movie, but now that you mentioned Martyrs in the Joan of Arc film, let's make it a little bit more lighthearted.
Bring me back up, baby. Bring me back up.
I will preach the greatness of this film to the day I die.
Yes.
This is a great hidden gem. We summon the darkness.
Yeah. Oh, so Daddario Dawson.
Alexander Daddario.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Alexander Daddario and Johnny Knoxville, who is surprisingly really good in this.
Solid actor. He actually is a solid actor. He just likes to be super weird and get hurt all the time.
He likes to be kicked in the nuts.
Yep.
Like, so yeah, this one also kind of goes to that kind of Christian extremism. So this is set during the 1980s, during the height of the Satanic Panic, which I know we've discussed the Satanic Panic before on the show, where it was this period in the 80s, and depending on what part of the country you're in, 90s, where there was this kind of like fear of Satanism, like satanic rituals, Satanist cults indoctrinating your children.
Well, all of this comes because people started using psychology in courtrooms, and part of that psychology was regressive memory therapy, where they'd like try and get you to remember things that like might have happened to you through like light hypnotism. The problem is it was a very untested thing. And when you do it to children, they'll literally say anything. They will say the wildest shit. And an entire preschool was like condemned because they were sacrificing children in the basement. They were making children eat other babies, killing dogs. Here's the only problem. That school didn't have a basement, and all those kids were full of shit because you can't hypnotize a child in court.
Right. And I think it was also a big one was Michelle Remembers, that book, which has been widely disproven. Also, I think it came out the psychiatrist and the subject, the patient of the book that he wrote about were sleeping together. But it caused this big thing where like people who were into horror films, people who were into heavy metal, of course, remember the Judas Priest subliminal message, the Do It, where I think a guy we're on YouTube unalived himself or attempted to unalive himself
because Judas Priest had a subliminal message in their record.
But I think it just turned out they were just really fucked up on drugs. But yeah, and then it was like also stuff like heavy metal, horror films, D&D, which is crazy because that was like a thing that I heard when I was a kid in the 90s, like D&D. Yeah, and it's like now you look at it, it's like, you mean the game that all the nerds play?
Yeah, it's such a nerdy stats. It's baseball for nerds. It's a stats game, and everybody was like, Satan, like. But the problem was, the D&D came from these kids were playing a different game, just LARPing in the tunnels, and they killed a kid, and they claimed that it's because they were LARPing, but it wasn't D&D that they were playing. It was Vampire the Masquerade. But they weren't LARPing. They were tricking somebody to come down into the sewer so they could kill them. That's not part of the game.
No. So this film is definitely like during the height of kind of the Satanic Panic. Another one I remember, just before I go on to this, when I was younger, a Harry Potter was one they were trying to go after.
Big Satanic Panic around Harry Potter.
I remember hearing that, and like my dad like hearing like, oh yeah, I heard it's like devil worship and all this stuff, and like my dad was like, I'll check it out. And then like my dad like watched the first movie. My dad was like, it was just nerd stuff. It was just wizards and elves, and like,
yeah, I mean, that's what it is. That's the thing.
So this was during the Satanic Panic. This follows two groups of teens who are going to a heavy metal show in an area where there have been these satanic sacrificial ritualistic murders, where they've been finding these people dead. And they've been finding like pentagrams written in blood, Hail Satan written on the walls in blood. So after the heavy metal concert, the two groups of teens, 3 girls, 3 boys, go to one of the girls' dad's vacation mansion. And turns out the 3 girls drugged the 3 boys. And turns out the girls are a part of this Christian group ran by Johnny Knoxville, who was the head pastor. And they're staging these satanic murders to scare people to coming into their church.
It's crazy.
To scare people so that people will come to their church.
It's a good twist, and it's a good. I mean, and like they just do a great job with it. It's small, it's contained, it's violent, it's bloody. I love all the characters.
It's funny.
In it.
There's funny moments in it too.
Super fun. Yeah, this is a great one. Really a surprise because I didn't expect it to be good. I should have put this on our Defied Expectations one.
Same.
Because I was like, Johnny Knoxville in a movie where he's not
a
getting
horror
hit in the
film.
nuts? Yeah, like what is this going to be? And it turned out it was great. It was really fun, really interesting, a good twist on like the kidnap. It reminded me in the vein of like You're Next. Like if you liked You're Next, it's a little bit of a reverse home invasion. Better watch out. It has that vibe to it where it's kind of a reverse home invasion in a way that's pretty fun.
Yeah, and this was one of those. It was a pandemic watch for me.
Yeah,
like it was just one of those. We were just scrolling through Netflix one night, saw this, and I was like, Johnny Knoxville in a horror movie. Let's watch it. Let's see how bad it is. And it's actually really fun. And it's one of those when people like message me and be like, hey Chase, what's a good horror movie for me to watch? It's like a real hidden gem. Usually one of my first few answers is We Summon the Darkness.
Summon the Darkness. That's a good answer. I like that. So good choice, man.
Thank you. So what's your next one?
Witchfinder General, 1968. Ooh. This is also called The Conqueror Worm. I don't know why there's no worms in this movie. But this is a Vincent Price film. It's a Hammer. He'll hang, burn, and mutilate you. He's the Witchfinder General. It's Vincent Price being a real piece of shit. And he plays such a good villain. And this is during the witch hunts in 1645 in England. It's just him going around town to town, killing witches, burning them. But there's some very interesting things because this guy falls in love with this woman. He gets conscripted into the army. So he joins the army, but he's like, I'll come back to get you. Don't worry about it. But then the Witchfinder General shows up and he starts macking on this chick. And she realizes that if she doesn't go along with it, then he's going to kill her. He ends up killing her dad, who was the vicar, like the priest of the town, saying that he's a witch. So they throw him in a lake. They dunk him until he drowns. And then the boyfriend hears about it and he comes back and he's like, I'm going to kill the Witchfinder General. Well, of course, anybody who threatens him, he's a witch. So they're just like dodging witch accusations and executions left and right. Anybody who helps them, they're a witch. They get burned alive. And him and some of his army buddies go and hunt down the Witchfinder General and try and get their revenge. But it's a really great 60s gnarly blood red thing. There's all these scenes that have one of my favorite movies is The Wild Bunch. It's a Western, but there's a scene in this that reminds me of it where they burn this witch alive, and then in her ashes and the ashes of the bonfire, these like kids are like cooking potatoes and like laughing about it. And you're like, what the heck? That's so gnarly. And it's like there's a lot of scenes that show sort of what life might be like in England at that time and how people treated witches. And it's stark and brutal in a way, but I really thought this was a cool movie. And Vincent Price always turns in a great performance.
Oh, Vincent Price always great. You can't go wrong with him.
So good. And this is particular. Yeah, it's good. Particularly nasty in this movie in a fun way.
I mean, I'm always down for Vincent Price. So probably when I finish watching WrestleMania night, I might put that one on to watch. So for my next one, listen to everyone in the audience. I know we're going to talk. I know with the religious horror, there's kind of like 3 big franchises.
Yep.
Exorcist, Omen, Conjuring. So you know what? We're about 30 minutes into the show. You just want to go ahead and knock one of them out, Aaron?
Do it, man. What do you got?
Let's do one I watched last night.
Yeah.
Rewatched last night. And on VHS. I own on VHS. The Exorcist.
On VHS. That is cool. Do you have a big VHS collection?
Somewhat. So if you go to my TikTok at oheyitschase _ at the end, I just posted a video yesterday of all my horror VHSs. So I have a decent amount. So yeah, this is one of those that we got. So I own it. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's my on me on TikTok. So if you want to see my VHS collection, go there. So I own it on Blu-ray too, of course. Nice. But yeah, last night I was like, you know what? let me watch this on VHS to kind of. So we talked about this back when we were exclusively on X Spaces.
Yep.
So we did an episode on Gateway to Horror, and the way I got into horror. So I know my parents watch sometimes. Sorry, Mom and Dad, what you're getting ready to hear. When I was little, like 5, 6, 7, I used to sneak watch horror movies. I would like turn it on TV, like if Halloween was on, like, and if I hear them coming down the hallway, I'd change the channel real quick. Like,
right. Of course, we all did.
So, but it was all edited for TV. So I remember I was about 10 and I just like told my parents, like, listen, I just want to watch a horror movie, like unedited, rated R. I want a good horror film. So my dad was like, okay, you want scary? I can give you scary. So he went up the road to this locally owned video store, rented Scream. Scream was one of them.
Awesome.
And The Exorcist.
Just got you. How old are you at this point? How old are you?
I was either 10 or 11. That's, I used to think, damn, I started out young, but then I hear people are like, oh yeah, I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre when I was 3 years old.
Yeah. Some parents are just right in there. A guy I work with was like, my mom took me to The Exorcist when they re-released it in theaters. I was 4, and I was like, bro.
Yep. Oh, here's the thing. I went, so The Monkey, which just came out 2 months ago, Osgood Perkins. I saw that twice in theater. So I went to a week early preview, and so AMC, which you have an AMC, if you have an AMC here, you'll know the Dolby Atmos theater.
Yeah.
They did a special week early, one night screening of The Monkey and Dolby Atmos.
Nice.
So I went to that by myself, and then me and my partner went when it came out opening day. And we like went up to this little locally owned theater that's like 2 minutes from our house. And we were sitting there, and some woman brings in her 2 toddlers to the Monkey.
There's so many times where I'm so uncomfortable by like the children that come into the movie theater and the movie they're not supposed to be in. Like, my parents were pretty strict about when I was allowed to see certain movies. I wasn't allowed to see Jurassic Park, but then I was like, I've read the book, which is arguably worse. And they're like, okay, fine, we can go see Jurassic Park. Titanic came out, and they're like, you need to see Titanic. It's really important. And I was like, I thought I was all like mature because I got to see a PG-13 movie before I was 13. I get there.
Kate Winslet's tits all up in your face.
When we get into the movie theater, guess who's in front of us? The kids I babysit. Like, just the small children. They're like, we've seen it twice. It was their favorite fucking movie, Titanic. And I was just like, this is wild. So when I was in 8th grade, I was like, look, I've seen a rated R movie. I've seen Aliens. I've seen Alien and Aliens. I want to see a good, scary movie. I'm old enough and mature enough. I made the argument. My parents were like, yeah, all right, go for it. And I was like, boom, straight to The Exorcist. I'm in 8th grade. I'm probably 12, 13. Straight to The Exorcist. I didn't sleep at all that night. I was freaking out. It was so scary. Scariest movie I'd ever seen. To this day, many people say it's the scariest movie ever made. It's terrifying, and it's horrifying because it happens to a child.
Yeah, that's the thing that's very scary. Like, honestly, when people say this is like one of the greatest and most influential horror movies ever made, I agree. Yeah, it is more terrifying because we've seen tons of exorcism movies where it's happening to like college sorority girl,
sure,
or, preacher's 19-year-old daughter, stuff like that. But this is terrifying because it is happening to like a little girl, and you're seeing this little girl suffer. You're seeing the demon do things to this little girl's body that shouldn't, be done. And you see her get scarred up. You see the demon hurt the child while he's in the child. Yeah, it's absolutely terrifying. What's your favorite? Because there's 2 different cuts. There's the theatrical cut. There's not really a huge difference.
No,
but there's the theatrical cut, and then there's the director's cut.
It's a few more Pazuzu faces. I mean,
and then that spider walk scene, which I people are like, oh, the spider walk scene, which was added like in the 2000 re-release.
Yeah.
I fucking hate the spider walk scene. It looks like,
yeah.
I know why they cut it out of the theatrical cut, because it looks terrible.
The reason it doesn't work is we're not there
you
yet.
Have a,
we didn't need
you have
it.
a 30-something-year-old woman playing Reagan, and it's obvious. They don't even try to hide it.
It doesn't fit. But even if you did make it look good, we're not at a point in the movie where you need spider walking to happen. It's too weird, too fast when that happens in the movie. And like when her head spins all the way around, we're at a point in the movie that it's earned the wackiness. At that point, it's not, we're not in Bonkersville. Super weird twist. Do you know there's a serial killer in this movie? Have you heard this?
Like, as acting?
There's an actor in the movie who, it turns out, he's a serial killer. He was arrested and convicted for multiple murders.
What?
Yeah. So he's
I thought you were talking about, which we'll get to later, because I'm sure we're going to do a brief discussion about the sequels. I thought you were talking about Exorcist 3,
which has a serial killer in it. No, in the actual movie, The Exorcist, one of the actors, Paul Bateson, apparently had killed multiple people, and he's in the movie as just one of the doctors in the scenes. He's an orderly. He has like one line. He doesn't really do much, but turns out he was actually a serial killer.
And it's weird when you hear about some of the unsavory people in that movie, because now I know about the serial killer. I know the actor who plays Father Dyer, who was actually a real Catholic priest. I think later on it came out he did things to children.
No. Oh, really?
Let me double check that, because I don't want to get my facts wrong, but I think that's what it's came out. William O'Malley was a Catholic priest.
I knew he was a real priest.
2019, he was accused of SAing former students in 1980. The accusations were made as a part of a mass complaint that allowed accusers to bring legal action in SA cases where a statute limit, but he was not charged in any. He was accused, but he was not charged.
Isn't he dead now?
He's dead now. He died 2 years ago, but
yeah. That sucks, man. This movie, it really is a cursed film. There's a lot of gnarly stuff in it.
Wasn't there an actor that died like not long after his character's death after they finished filming his character's death in the film?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, there was a lot of crazy death coincidences in that movie happened. It really is, like, if you go into like what all the curses were and all the stuff that came out of it, it's crazy. But let's get into the sequels, because Exorcist 2 kind of sucks, not gonna lie.
It's literally one of the worst films I've ever seen.
Yeah, Exorcist 2 sucks.
Yeah, enough of that. If you want to watch Exorcist 2, watch I think it's late 80s, early 90s comedy with Linda Blair called Repossessed. That's the real Exorcist 2.
Much better. But
we got a banger.
Yeah, Exorcist 3, freaking wild.
Great,
surprisingly good. It comes back. It's real twisted. It's real creepy. You get Brad Dourif like just knocking it out of the park,
being amazing.
Yeah. Which one? This is the one that has the nun, right?
The jump scare.
The jump scare. Yeah. This is one of the best. I have a shirt of all time.
I have a shirt of that with that scene on it. To me, it's my favorite jump scare of all time.
It is fantastic. There's a scene, and it's brilliant. It's just a long hallway at a hospital, and this guy walks past, and then there's just a long beat, and then suddenly this nun with giant scissors runs past him, runs after him, and then cuts him up. But it's just like it's such a good jump scare. It's so well orchestrated.
So prolonged. It's so prolonged, because you have the nurse just for 2 minutes. It's just the single shot of this nurse going to different rooms or just like random mundane stuff, just organizing stuff, going into one room, going in another room, and then you see the nurse walk one way, and next thing you know, and
it's terrifying. This movie's great because it really ties a lot of stuff from the first movie together.
Yeah.
There's a serial killer who is possessed by Damien Karras's like ghost or spirit or whatever. Brad Dourif giving one of the best performances of his career, and that's
Yeah.
saying a lot because he did Chucky. But it's him. It's the actor getting to be the actor, doing the thing, and it's great. You got George C. Scott, obviously, who is amazing in a lot of the stuff that he
Oh, yeah,
does.
he's great.
It's a solid sequel, and it really does lend itself to the lore that the original created, and none of the sequels even after this were able to, I think, come back around and even come near.
Yeah, you got two prequels two prequels, the Dominion and Exorcist Beginning, which are both terrible. I would say I think Dominion's slightly better.
Yep.
But again, it's like saying, would you rather get smashed in the head with a cinder block or kicked in the nuts? But
yeah, neither. None of them are. Yeah, there's so many. They keep trying to come back to this well. They keep trying to come back to this well and messing it up because you'll never capture what the first one did.
Yeah, and then I know there's like a 2 or 3 season series that they did on Fox, which I heard was pretty good.
Oh, really?
I heard it was pretty good. A lot of people said it's surprised they liked the direction they were taking. And then, of course, 2 years ago, you got oh boy, Exorcist Believer.
Oh yeah, nobody liked that either.
So
it's going to turn into the Amityville. You just slap Amityville or Exorcist on it and call it a day. The problem is when your movies that you got a story about Believer?
Yeah, oh yeah. So when that came out, so I thought this was going to be kind of like a cool full circle moment for me and my dad when Exorcist Believer came out, because again, my dad really introduced me to horror.
Yeah.
With The Exorcist, the original, when I was 10 or 11. So I thought, so many years later in 2023, we could have this cool full circle moment with this kind of going, like, I'm going to take him to see the new Exorcist film. So I called up my dad. I was like, hey, let's go see the new Exorcist. So we did. It was so the film, it starts off pretty decent when it's like the missing girls and they're trying to find the missing girls. That stuff's not bad. It's solid. But then when it gets to the demon stuff, it's just nosedive. And like when it got to the possession scene, but it was so ridiculous. Both me and my dad, and the exorcism and the possession stuff, me and my dad start laughing hysterically. And then by the end, and during the exorcism scene, there was probably like 20 other people in the auditorium. Everyone in the theater, including me and my dad, are laughing our asses off.
Well, is it just cheesy? Did they just do a shitty job?
It's so cheesy. The CGI is terrible. Everything about it is just terrible. And it's like, so what they do is so as we know in the Exorcist movies, it's very Catholic heavy. Yeah. So what they did was they formed like this Avengers group where it's like Protestants, Catholics, voodoo, pagan, and they're all doing like Hindu, and they're all doing like they team up like the fucking Avengers, and they're all doing like their own exorcism ritual. I remember I got to the point. It was like before they started assembling them. I had to use the restroom. So I walked up, went to use the restroom, came back, sit down. My dad's laughing his ass off. And I'm like, what's going on? He was like, they got a Catholic, a Hindu, a Catholic priest, a Hindu, I forgot what their leader's called, a Jewish rabbi. He's like, they're forming the Avengers. Like,
that's so funny. I'm just looking at the makeup too, and the makeup looks off.
Terrible.
Like it makes them look really puffy, like not scary but weird. That's a bummer.
You haven't seen it?
No, because I heard nothing good about it.
Now I will say though, I have faith because they're making a new one with Mike Flanagan. Yeah, next year because David Gordon Green dropped out.
Here's the Avengers. There you go.
The Avengers for religious people.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I heard Mike Flanagan's doing a new one, which I'm very excited for because I like
Fingers.
everything that he's done. I know that it's very verbose, but like, come on, if you're going to do a Catholic exorcism movie, they like to talk. I mean, as we know from Midnight Mass, which is on my list, they love to talk. That's a big tenet of the faith is talkie.
That's
Midnight
one I have
Mass.
not watched, but I need to because I've heard nothing but amazing things about it.
It is so as a Catholic, it was amazing to see a lot of the stuff that was triggering from my childhood in it about how they do rituals, how they do because there's a big thing, and like this was like a real eye-opening moment when it was like the most religious experiences I've ever had were after days of sleep deprivation and hard labor or whatever. Like you'd go on a retreat and they'd make you do something like build a house, keep you up all night. And then after like 3 days of that, suddenly, oh my gosh, you're having this crazy religious experience. And it's like, you realize that they like ply you into it and then hit you with the hammer of like, of getting everybody broken down and crying and then they hit you with the message. And Midnight Mass showed that in a way that was so like you're like, oh my gosh, that's what happened to us. And then they even had the lights in the church that were in every Catholic church in the 90s that like you'd spend hours staring at this light being like, oh, I want to go home. And they had those very lights. It's a vampire story, but phenomenally done, incredibly well done. And it actually, like, the priest in this isn't the bad guy. He thinks he's being a good guy and he messes up so badly that turns his entire town into vampires. Freaking awesome. Freaking awesome. Great stuff. But yeah, if Mike Flanagan can pull off, if anybody can pull off an Exorcist reboot, I trust that it's going to be him.
Yeah. I have faith in Mike Flanagan. I'm a huge fan of his. Please, Mike Flanagan, don't let us down.
Yeah, man. I think we have time for about one more piece. What's your next one?
Oh, I was going to say, what's yours? Because I chose The Exorcist.
Oh, and I chose Mike Flanagan's Midnight Mass. I mean, obviously the Omen, the Omen trilogy, or how many are there? 5?
1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4. Okay.
4 from the original series.
So there's 4 from the original. So there's the first 3. Then there's like a made-for-TV movie where it's like a girl or something.
Oh, yeah.
Then there's the remake, which...
Sorry,
Mom. I'm sorry, Mom. I know she doesn't like hearing me curse, but fuck that movie. And then just recently, which we talked about last week on
The First Omen.
Yeah. Oh, where do I have it? Yeah, The First Omen, which is absolutely incredible. So yeah, The Omen kind of tells is like what's foretold in the book of Revelations about the Antichrist, the rise of the Antichrist, who would basically be the spawn of Satan and kind of control the world.
He's got a birthmark 666 behind his ear. Good stuff. The first movie scared the shit out of me. Because it starts so strong where it's like a little kid's birthday party, and then all of a sudden it's like Damien, everybody looks up and the nurse is standing with a noose around her neck and she jumps and hangs herself into the window and it's all for you, Damien. Crazy stuff. There's an incredible scene in a graveyard where Gregory Peck's trying to find the bones of Damien's real birth mother, and he just finds the bones of a jackal, gets attacked by dogs. Dude's head gets cut off with a pane of glass. Like, it's incredible.
Oh yeah, and then I haven't seen most of the sequels, but I've heard none of them are good.
I disagree. I actually think the ones where Sam Neill plays Damien are actually pretty.
That's the third one, I think.
I think the third one's pretty solid. I want to say I remember it being very impressed with it because basically he becomes a senator and then runs a big ass like secret Satan coup, and at the end he becomes president and kills everybody in who opposes him, and the end it's just pushing in on him and the elevator doors close as he heads off to become the president. You're like, whoa, the devil is a president? How far-fetched. As Elinka said, the movie that got him into religious horror was Stigmata. I have that on my list.
That's not Gabriel Byrne.
Yeah,
it's funny because Gabriel Byrne did That came out in 1999. Gabriel Byrne did 2 religious horror movies that year that kind of dealt with like something similar theme. He did Stigmata, and then he also did the Arnold Schwarzenegger action horror film End of Days.
End of Days.
The same
right.
year.
Yeah. Patricia Arquette, Stigmata. I saw this movie in theater. I remember liking it, but like not enough to remember it or own it. But I do remember seeing it being like, yeah, that's gnarly. Stigmata, of course, is the religious anomaly when people just spontaneously sprout the wounds of Christ, which is bleeding from the arms, feet, the hands, feet, and side. Pretty gnarly, but like throughout history is a thing. Doesn't happen as much anymore. Bummer.
Yeah.
Bummer. But yeah, Stigmata was I do remember being like, cool. I can't not mention Wicker Man. I can't not mention Haxan, one of my all-time favorite witch movies. This is a great one from 1922, and it is a documentary about witches are bad. This is like the reefer madness of witch movies. It's like witches are bad, beware witches. It's a PSA, but in doing the PSA has like a bunch of like really rad and gnarly like visual effects sequences where Satan's like and like tempting these women into eating children. This is a movie. This is a movie that I love to throw because like when we would do back when we were able to have parties, pre-pandemic times, we'd have a great Halloween party, and I'd throw a movie on with the sound off, and then the movie would just play until people were like, what the fuck are we watching? And then you turn the sound on. And this was a movie that I would often just put on in the background so that you could just hang out and have music going. But like inevitably there'd be a moment where people were like, what is this? What is this bananas weird movie with like the Satan and devils and all these wild witches riding broomsticks? And you're like, Haxan, yeah, it's a good fun one.
I'm gonna have to check that one out now.
Haxan's really fun. Yeah.
Okay, I think we talked about that before, probably on our cult one.
I like to talk about Haxan, so I'm sure it's not the first or the last time I will bring up Haxan.
I'm gonna have to watch it, so next time you bring it up, we could be like, "Oh yeah,
Haxan, yeah." Oh man, it's just silly fun, but in like wrapped in this like documentary, like beware witches, they will eat your children. And you're like, what?
That was Satanic Panic before Satanic Panic.
Big time. I mean, it all is hand in hand. I mean, the thing is religion has been used time and time again as an avenue to isolate an other, which is like witches, Satan, like whatever it is, they're going to find a group of people, point at them and be like, be angry at those guys. They're the problem. And that's a shitty thing to do. Don't do that.
Yeah.
The Witch. I love this one. This is one of my all-time favorite movies.
I have that one right here, actually, on this 5-disc set.
What?
I got this at Walmart last year.
Walmart.
So it's
crushing it.
So
What's
it's a
on
5-disc Blu-ray set. So it's got, let me try and find the camera. So it's got Hereditary, X, Witch, Green Room, and It Comes at Night.
What an insane lineup. Just A24 bangers. I love Green Room. Room.
I love that one. That one I think we discussed during our kind of real life situational horror. Yeah, and I think Chaos, who was on the show last week, he was like, man, he said he used to play in bands. He's like, he used to relate to that so much, just going to a place and it just be so sketchy. And you just don't know if you're going to come out of it alive.
Seriously. That is an insane box set because I love all those movies. Hereditary could be on this list as well. The only reason I didn't include it is because it wasn't like church oriented. It's more just like culty. I love Hereditary though. But The Witch is great because it's like pilgrims, and it's a family of pilgrims that are so staunch in their religious beliefs that the other pilgrims who literally left England for their staunch religious beliefs are like, yo, you guys are too hardcore being pilgrims. You guys got to get out of our town. So they kick them out into the woods, and Philip the goat
live in this kind of isolated community. And just this black goat comes up and weird stuff starts happening in the family.
Oh my god, I love it so much. There were multiple times in that movie that left me breathless. The performances are so good. Early performance by Anna Taylor-Joy, obviously.
Yeah.
And the ending just ripped me apart because I thought the movie was done. I thought it was like one of those things that was just going to be so subtle we didn't know if it was real or not. And then the goats like started talking, and I was like, "Oh God, no!" So good, amazing.
This fun fact too. This was one of the first movie dates me and my partner went on when we first started dating.
Aw, that is a funny choice, but also like
Well,
knowing that you guys love horror, like hell, of course, yeah,
yeah,
hell yeah.
yeah. That was kind of like our basis of our like why we got along so well when we first started going on dates. And yeah, it was just like, oh, let's go. There's this new one called The Witch. Let's go check it out.
What a date movie. I mean, at least it leaves you with something to talk about. I mean, my
Yeah.
first date movie with my wife was, I think, Bad Boys 2. Which I think we left the movie like, okay, all right, well, that was fun. Let's go get burgers.
It was fun because we saw a couple walk out at The Witch.
I believe it. I believe it. It's an adult dose of weird. Dan
It's Robert
Stevens.
Eggers.
Yeah, Robert Eggers, so good. Dan Steven, Gareth Evans movie, Apostle. Did you see this one on Netflix?
I have not. I've been meaning to watch that for the longest time. I do love me some Dan Stevens.
Dude, Dan Stevens delivers. This is a great one. Really good. This guy, it is a ripoff of The Wicker Man, which is also on our list. It's a ripoff of The Wicker Man, but in a way that's like pretty fresh. Guy goes looking for a person in search of his missing sister. There we go. Kidnapped by a mysterious religious cult. Of course, the cult is like, yeah, well, let's torture some people and do some sacrifices. It's great. Good movie. Check it out.
Nice. I got a few I could rapid fire real quick.
Yeah, rapid fire it, man. Let me see if I'll throw them up on the list as we go.
Carrie. Which
okay, how does that tie into religion for you? Because of the mother?
The mother. Yeah, she's using her religion to abuse her daughter. Yes. Of course, one we talked about in depth last week, Heretic. This one's great.
Yeah.
The Devil's Advocate with Al Pacino and Keanu.
Yes. Touch but don't taste. Taste but don't swallow.
Defense lawyer who finds out his boss is Satan. Rosemary's Baby, another really good one.
Yes. I was asking my wife about, because she brought up Rosemary's Baby. I know she has the Devil's Baby, but what is the cult? Are they a religious cult? Are they like I'm always kind of like,
I think more of a devil worshiping cult. Yeah, because I mean she's having the son of Satan, so
she sure is.
Children of the Corn. This is a really good one.
Corn worshiping cult.
Corn worshiping cult.
This is another one that has like 20 sequels, and the first one is still the best, and has never like none of the sequels even
come close.
Need to be watched. Yeah, they're just terrible. It's like they just slap Children on the Corn on it and call it a day. They're terrible sequels. Shitty reboots.
So have some children, have them in a cornfield, have them act weird. Children of the Corn movie.
And the Stephen King book is fantastic, and the original movie is so good. I just think if you're going to remake it, you just need to show me He Who Walks Behind the Rose, because the original movie didn't have the budget to make a giant corn monster. We now have the technology to do a bitchin' corn monster, and we've never gotten to it.
I heard they did it in the Shudder.
Yeah,
the one that Shudder, because I think they did a remake, filmed it in 2020, and I think Shudder finally picked it up. They got the rights to it, and
terrible.
I heard it's awful. From what I've heard, they do show He Who Walks Behind the Rose, but they said it looks like I Am Groot. Like,
yeah, man, that's a bummer. I love the first Children of the Corn. It's so good. Outlander.
Then I have Sydney Sweeney and Immaculate.
Yep,
I'm not a big fan of this one, but yeah.
I like Immaculate.
See, it's funny because this Immaculate and First Omen kind of get compared a lot because they deal with a very similar theme.
Yep.
And also they came out within weeks of each other. To me, First Omen blew it out of the water. Like
I agree. I think if Immaculate came out at an alternate time. Immaculate also didn't have the guts to show some of the stuff it was trying to talk about. So
Where First Omen did.
yeah, exactly. And I think that Immaculate suffered from like self censorship, where I think it could have been
Yeah.
gorier, it could have been more overt. But again, that's my opinion. What do I know?
Another one I have, what Mike from We Watched the Movie YouTube channel called it, the Walmart of horror, the Conjuring films. The Walmart of horror. Yeah. So I mean, I like some of the Conjuring films, but most the spinoffs. And one I want to talk about real quick.
Yeah.
Is another underrated one. Frailty.
Frailty. I love this movie. Go for it.
Yeah. So this one, Matthew McConaughey, goes into a police station. I said, "Hey, I heard you guys are looking for a killer. I know who that killer is. The killer is my family." And he basically is like talking with this detective and basically going to the history of his family. So him and his brother are living with their single father, played by Bill Paxton. By the way, who directed this?
Director Billy Paxton, crushing it.
So one day they seem to have like a nice, normal family bond, single father, and I think it's a widowed father, and his two young sons. And one day he just busts into that house all frantic. It's like, "Boys, an angel has spoken to me saying this earth's being overtaken by demons. And this angel said, God wants me to kill the demons."
Yeah.
So he starts just kidnapping these random people and saying this person's a demon. This person's not a person. This person's a demon, and just starts murdering them.
Yeah.
And you don't know if, like, is Bill Paxton right? Is he just going insane? And it's a fantastic film. I don't think it gets talked about enough.
Not at all. It's so good. It's very creepy. You don't know what's real. You don't know what's not. They do it's an unreliable narrator situation because it's like a child's point of view. So you don't know if what he's seeing is real or not. Their faith is unreliable. You don't know if it's real or not. This is a great one. Good pick, man.
Yeah, this one, if you get a chance, I'm going to preach this. Watch Frailty. It's so good. I think now I noticed it didn't really get talked about a lot, but now since Bill Paxton's unfortunate passing,
a
lot more people are kind of discovering more of his filmography, and he's getting much more appreciation as an actor, unfortunately, which I wish he would have gotten more when he was alive.
He was so good. Billy Paxton's the best.
Yeah, I think
the only person to be killed by a Terminator, Predator, and an alien.
Yeah, the big sci-fi horror, the big sci-fi 3.
Yep.
I want to do a quick debate before we go off air.
Can I give one little piece that?
Yeah.
So, credence to Frailty. If you think this movie is far-fetched and weird, right now, this week, there's a trial going on by Lori Vallow Daybell and her ex-husband Chad Daybell, who are pieces of shit. But their whole thing is they are a Mormon cult who believe that people were turning into demon zombies and they started murdering them. Those people were her 3 children and her ex-husband, and he killed his wife. They killed multiple people claiming that they were demons and justified. They're on trial right now. Chad is going to prison and is up for the death penalty. She is trying not to go for the death penalty, but she's representing herself in trial.
That's not a good idea.
Which is a terrible idea, but it is brutal because she's talking to the parents of the victims that she murdered, and it's just insanity stuff. Like, if you guys are if you guys are into true crime, look up the Lori Vallow Daybell and Chad Daybell murders, and it's like he literally convinced a bunch of people that, like, my 11-year-old disabled child is a demon zombie and we gotta kill him. And it's like, that's so messed up.
And it is unfortunate because, like you said, Frailty is like, it shows that Frailty is not too far-fetched from the truth. I mean, and plus we've been seeing where, like, certain religious Christian extremist groups have been saying stuff like autism and other like mental
Yeah.
disabilities or like demon possession, and
So terrible. Yeah. Where are we? What are we doing? They'll never grow up
it's
to pay taxes, Chase.
it's
They'll never pay
it's
taxes.
it's 2025, y'all.
Yeah. We're going backwards. What was the debate you mentioned? I'm excited.
Yeah, let's just do it quick. One film that's heavily debated, whether it does have a religious theme to it, but it's debated, is it horror or is it mystery thriller?
Ooh.
David Fincher's Seven.
See, that's tough because I always say horror has to have an element that can't exist in the real world. It's asking you to believe in something that isn't real. And like Silence of the Lambs to me is a thriller. It's a horrifying movie, but everything that happens in that movie did happen at some point. But at the same time, when we were talking about Martyrs, that's obviously a horror film, even though everything in it could be real. So it's
Yeah,
like,
and I mean, you look
but
at some of the slashers like Halloween, up until they got to the Cult of Thorn stuff and Michael can
yeah,
resurrect him. I mean, that could happen. A man could put on a white mask and just go to a suburban neighborhood and just slaughter people. It could happen.
I argue that putting on the mask makes it like the horror film. Like it stretches it because very rarely do we have them people putting on like a mask for fear. But it is an interesting discussion. Where do you land, Seven?
See, I put Silence of the Lambs strictly in horror.
Okay.
But seven to me is more of a thriller.
Interesting.
But it's in the horror family. It's kind of like for me, like John Carpenter. Well, even though it's a completely different genre, like John Carpenter's They Live.
Yeah.
Where that I say that's a sci-fi movie,
yeah.
a sci-fi action.
Yeah, I agree.
Just in the horror family. Same thing with Seven. I think this is a thriller film, just in the horror family. It could. I think it has horror adjacent themes and horror adjacent elements to it.
And I guess here's another thing, a caveat, because it's like, yeah, because a lot of times if I just made true crime live in the thriller world, like again, Martyrs wouldn't be a horror film. What is the violence aim? Is the violence aim to scare you, or is it part of the story that the mystery is? So I might put Seven more in a thriller vein as well, but it's a hard choice,
But yeah, that one has the religious element of the killer in the film.
Yeah,
killing people who he feels like are doing one of the seven deadly sins.
Very, very religious adjacent. Yeah, he's using a lot of religious mythology to commit murders. See, El Inca's already on me, and it's a really good point. Because like Zodiac, that is a true. The Drowned at Sundown is based on a true story, and that's a crime thriller. So it's like more of a true crime, but it is set up as a slasher.
Yeah,
and slashers are horror movies, so it's like, man, anytime you set a rule for like what genre a movie falls into, you're going to find the exceptions pretty quick, and especially with all you smart folks who love horror movies like we do. You immediately, and that's why the debate is so fun, right? Like, because immediately somebody's like, what about this movie? And you're like, damn it. Yeah, that's right.
You know what?
Blows up my plan.
That would be a fun episode
to
do in the future, where it's like you, me, and maybe like two other people. We get two other people.
Yeah.
And we just
kind of store.
Yeah, we just get these films that like are kind of debated. Is it thriller? Is it horror? Is it action? Like, is it sci-fi? And we just all debate and just pick all these debated films. I think that would be a lot of fun for a future episode.
Genre definition is really tough because it's like, what in the video store, what section is this in? And it always drives me nuts because you fall into and like the Return Slot of Horror podcast does this. Like they invent new sections to put their movies in because they don't fit things right. Like, because Jaws, like everybody's like, yeah, Jaws is a horror movie. And it's like, is it though? Because it's just a shark attack movie. Animal attacks movies, are they horror films? And it's like, yeah, because I don't want to get eaten by a horror. I don't know where else I'm gonna, unless you're making an animal attack section. Yeah, it's horror. But yeah, somebody was like, yeah, Jaws is just an animal attack movie. I'm like, it's true, but like it's meant to scare you.
Yeah,
it's meant to terrify you. That's the purpose.
yeah, that'd be fun to do like a debate in the future. Like just get a couple guests and we just do like Alien, whether Alien or Silence of the Lambs, stuff like that.
Exactly. And it'll be interesting because people's definitions of things. So yeah, here's the list. We'll throw it up on
Saint Maud. You have Saint Maud up in there.
I do have Saint Maud up in there.
I watched I was able to watch a little bit of that this morning.
Yeah, pretty cool, right?
Oh yeah, really cool.
Starting off strong. Yeah, so we'll throw this up there. There's a bunch of stuff that we didn't get to talk about, but is worth checking out as usual. I like to sort it by release date, oldest first, because I'm neurotic like that. But yeah, there we go. There's the religious horror list just in time for Easter. Hope you guys like your bunnies that shit eggs and zombie religious figures tomorrow. Enjoy. I'm going to be barbecuing and enjoying the beautiful weather that we're having in Georgia right now.
I'm gonna be at my buddy's house later tonight and tomorrow night watching wrestling.
Horror movies. Oh
wrestling.
to those who celebrate, we salute you with a elbow dive off the top rope. WrestleMania weekend. Enjoy that, my friend. Plugs, let them have it.
Yeah, so of course you can see me here every Saturday on it with Aaron on Half Hour of Horror on YouTube, Block of Horror's YouTube, X, and of course inside the Prophecy Eater at blockofhorror.com, the virtual world. You can also follow me on Instagram, Blue Sky, Letterboxd at Oh Hey It's Chase. I will also have a list that you can see on Letterboxd, and of course my newest platform that I have been using and promoting the most, TikTok at Oh Hey It's Chase _.
As I threw that up a minute ago, blood coin. I got a fun word for the blood coin today. Getting it set up here. 3, 2, 1. Blood coin word: sacrilegious. Because we did our church horror this weekend. A little sacrilegious. Hopefully we didn't offend anybody, but it's ripe for horror. So that's the blood coin word: sacrilegious. Go to Block of Horror Discord, open up a ticket, throw that word in there, get you some blood coin. And yeah, follow me at Launchpad Pod or at McLean and Abel. Also a religious nod there. Yeah, McLean and Abel or at Launchpad Pod. And then of course here on the Block of Horror every Saturday. And Block of Horror, all the Twitters,
Discord, X, Instagram, TikTok. They've been posting a lot on TikTok lately too. So yeah, follow Block of Horror everywhere. And of course on YouTube, and click the like button on this video.
Oh yeah, smash that.
Share this video to everyone you know who's a horror fanatic.
Yeah.
Let's get this Block of Horror family growing. Big
shout out to everybody who listened today, and share it with your friends. Hit like, hit subscribe, and follow Block of Horror. Let's keep it running. See you guys next week. Till next time, we're out.
Hell yeah, that was a lot of